on to the next one. So, yes, CardLock, which Yasmin referred to earlier, to stop your system having to deal with the card number and the CVV. So our documentation has goes in quite detail about what you need to do to support CardLock. The way it works is there's a JavaScript library you include on your site, and that intercepts the person clicking on the Form Submit button. When they do, it takes the PAN and the CVT they've entered, uses AJAX and JSONP to submit those details to us. We send back a single-use token, which is what you then send in place of the PAN and CV2 in the transaction request. Hopefully, go to the example or make a bit more detail. So let me close all of those others. Go to the CardLock example. So actually, the first thing I'll say is there is a CardLock JavaScript library you need to include on your site. If you're talking to the Mite environment, then it needs to be the CardLock JavaScript from Mite, because that's where it's going to connect to. If in your production environment, it needs to be the JavaScript library from the production environment. We highly recommend that you always load it from us rather than take a copy yourself, so that if we need to make any changes, any bug fixes or improvements, you get those immediately. So that's in the header, and then in the CardLock itself. So in the checkout form, first thing to notice is the action is changed to a location that's on our servers. We recommend that so in the scenario of the cardholder's browser not supporting JavaScript or having JavaScript disabled, you don't want them accidentally submitting card details to you and then a PAN and CV2 turning up in your Apache logs or whatever. So we recommend the default action to be to us, where we'll produce a page that explains what the issue is. So other than that, the form is normal. There is a new hidden input with the ID of token, no value in it at the moment. And then there's this piece of JavaScript code that actually activates the CardLock library itself. So we've got the publishable ID, which is that piece of information you got in creating the Explorer account, the ID of the element of the form, the ID of the element that contains the card number, the ID element of the token, the ID element of the CVV, and the original action. So where you want this form to actually submit to. So if the JavaScript is running, it'll change the form action to be this, and it'll submit as per normal. And then in your actual code that submits to, the request is pretty much the same, except instead of the PAN and the CV2, there's now this CardLock token field, which contains the token. And as a single-use token, so once you've requested one transaction for it, you can't use that token again. You need to get the person to enter their card details again to generate a new token. And then submitting that, and then the response is exactly the same as previously. So you can still get 3D secure and everything, and that will still works. So let's see how that works. So let's get a card number. So what you shall see is when the JavaScript kicks in, these two fields will become blank, and then it will submit off. There we go. Oh, and it's going to be 3D secure again. Of course, it's the card number. And that was upgrading. That was using CardLock in place of the card details yourselves. So that dramatically reduces your PCI scope, as per Yasmin's earlier comments.
That's great, isn't it, Martin? There's not much extra effort from the API.
It took me, I think, 2 minutes just following through the step-by-step instructions that are included on this page.
Okay.
Using the JavaScript library, pretty much says, yeah, set that as your destination. Oh, there it is, that's the destination. Add the hidden input, include the JavaScript call. Yeah, it's very quick to add. So that is CardLock.